Hello everybody. In this video, we'll try to understand some more interesting things about Bharani Nakshatra. So, as we're discussing in our Nakshatra encyclopedia videos, Bharani Nakshatra represents cosmic womb. It is a kind of container. It represents containment. It represents restriction, transformation, and also nourishment, slow cooking of life, you can say. And for this, what is required is yama, that is the discipline, the boundaries, the consequences. These are required. The discipline and the boundaries are the most important thing here, otherwise, life would not be continued. And the planetary ruler here is Venus because it represents that nourishment, that grace, that preservation of life, that value of life. And that's why this Bharani Nakshatra is representing that womb symbolism. And to understand this video, of course, you need to understand the first video of Nakshatra encyclopedia, that means from Ashwini Nakshatra onwards. If you do not understand, the theory of, cosmic, this consciousness and awareness meeting each other and generating the life and healing energies, those are Ashwini Kumaras. If you do not understand that concept, you may not be able to think what is actually the Bharani Nakshatra's energy. You cannot understand it. It's very impossible. You might be understanding it in a different way, or you might be, understanding with some kind of symbolism. But that understanding is not enough to feel the energy exactly. So here, as per our previous videos, Jupiter is not at all comfortable in the Bharani Nakshatras, not at all. If you ask me, the planet which is the most uncomfortable in the Bharani Nakshatras energy, that is Jupiter only. Okay, and then Mars, even though it is in the sign of Aries, it's a kind of silent warrior in the Nakshatra's energy, that is Bharani's energy, in the realm of Bharani, in the field of Bharani. Mars is a kind of silent warrior, as we discussed in our previous videos. Now, how Rahu feels in Bharani? Just imagine, see, Rahu is a kind of breaking boundaries. It doesn't like boundaries, but Bharani is boundaries. Without boundaries, life cannot, that life form, it cannot be nourished. That's what we understood in our previous videos, right? So, but Rahu is nothing but breaking boundaries. It is a kind of taboo impulses. It's related to unregulated growth. But for Bharani energy, that cosmic womb energy, for the life to grow, we need a very, very regulated growth, a very much regulated growth we need. And Rahu represents alien or a kind of foreign substances. It's also related to kind of obsession. It's related to mutation. And Bharani is basically, it is controlled growth. That control is required. And also Bharani, even though it represents nourishment, but it basically represents a strict nourishment, because that strict nourishment is needed, that regulated nourishment is needed for the life to grow. And the order and the consequence, the biological boundaries, this is Bharani's energy. So Rahu in Bharani is something like boundary breaking inside the womb, and this creates a kind of taboo creativity. It's a violating social rules kind of energy, and it's a obsessive sensuality we feel. So it's not a regulated growth. It's a kind of unconventional birth, we say. So Rahu in Bharani is representing a kind of unconventional birth, because Bharani represents that birth energy, that cosmic womb representation. And it's a kind of, in the modern terminology, if you want to imagine, Rahu in Bharani is a kind of surrogacy. It's a kind of IVF. It's not a regulated growth, right? So you might be getting the energy now. You might be feeling that energy. It's not about a regulated growth at all. It's always about a kind of unconventional birth. So whenever you see Rahu in Bharani, you feel like it's a kind of surrogacy, it's a kind of IVF, it's a kind of forbidden love. It's a kind of mutated identity structures. So it's not a very comfortable position here. So Rahu is not comfortable in Bharani. Rahu, because Yama, the principle here, restricts. It has boundaries. It has that strict nutrition. It has that boundedness. And Rahu hates restriction always. So when Rahu is in Bharani, it cannot be comfortable with the Bharani's restriction. It cannot be comfortable with that strict nutrition, and also Rahu here is treated as a rebellious planet. It's a kind of cunning and secretive planet, because when a person like Rahu is sitting under the Bharani's energy, it cannot tolerate the restriction and the boundary. So obviously it either can become rebellious or cunning, or in other cases it can be secretive, doing something else secretively, because it has to skip that restriction somehow, right? So Rahu can be rebellious or cunning or secretive, I can say, when Rahu is in Bharani. Rahu in Bharani is not comfortable. What about Ketu in Bharani? Ketu is generally represents a kind of disconnection. It's lack of identity. Ketu is detachment. Ketu is a kind of non-linear. It's a kind of non-linear function in mathematical terms, if you want to say. And Bharani is, of course, it's a kind of linear biological process. The biological process that's happening in the cosmic womb must be very much regulated. It's strict nutrition oriented, and it's something like it's a kind of consequence, because in Ashwini you saw that spark of life, and in Bharani it's continuing. Bharani is a kind of step by step development. It's a very regulated process. And that's where the life would grow. If you have that Bharani's energy, then only life can grow. And when Ketu is sitting here, it's something like it's not at all, in alignment with Bharani's energies. It's a kind of difficulty completing growth cycles. It's a sudden abortion. It represents a kind of psychological processes you observe. It's a different psychological process you observe here. And it's a lack of emotional containment, I would say, because Ketu does not have any direction. So Ketu gets a kind of Ketu creates a kind of it gets annoyed, you can say. It's not a comfortable thing at all. I should not say more negative words here, because if somebody is having Ketu in the Bharani Nakshatra in the 5th house, I should not make them worried more here. So better I would definitely say it's not a comfortable position. It can cause a kind of non-linear development, right? So it's not a good planet. Ketu is not good in Bharani. And what about Moon? Moon, of course, it represents nourishment, mother, fluids, growth cycles and all. Moon is all about that. So yes, and Moon loves that symbolism, that rhythm, that kind of protection, the containment. This is all, very much in alignment with Moon's energy. So Moon in Bharani is a kind of, it is feeling, it is giving me a kind of good maternal instinct. The whole energy is a kind of good maternal instinct. It is showing me that kind of energy. It is showing me some strong emotional pressure cooker, right? But of course it can also represent a kind of mood swings because of that pressure. but it's good. Moon is it can do well in Bharani, I can say that, right? I can also create an energy of deep empathy here, and very good, because Bharani is that restrictive nourishment where it has the aim to achieve the life to grow. So that is a kind of good thing. Moon in Bharani, it feels good. It's not a very a bad position at all, except kind of mood swings because of that pressure. Moon is also a bit sensitive. And then Mercury. How about Mercury? Mercury is generally, the moment you say Mercury in Vedic astrology, it represents the logical thinking, the logic. Anybody's logic is represented by Mercury's energy, because it's a business planet. Basically, if you want to be a very great businessman, you need the logic, right? So that's why that logic, that language, the neutrality, the curiosity. Mercury is a kind of soft planet. It's neutral planet. It doesn't hurt anybody, right? Generally, if it is a functionally malefic, that is a different thing. I'm not talking about that. But how Mercury feels in Bharani Nakshatra generally, as per Mercury's energy. And if you see the environment, it is a kind of slow environment, emotional environment, biological environment. It has that so slow growth, restrictive nutrition, regulated growth. It's right. So that is the growth that you can see in that cosmic Om. And when Mercury is here, Mercury is a bit fast. You can see that, right? Mercury is a bit fast. And it's a little planet, young planet. It's very fast. It's intellectual, of course. It's a bit dry also. It's analytical in nature. So in Bharani, Mercury becomes a kind of anxious planet, because Mercury wants to do things faster, but is very young also. But the things in Bharani's world is very much regulated, restrictive. It has a lot of good amount of boundaries, and the boundaries are very strict. Otherwise, you may not be able to see the life that you have, right? So Mercury has that pressure here. So Mercury's logical thinking it becomes anxious, I would say. Mercury becomes anxious in Bharani, and it overthinks that pressure. Oh my God, why this much pressure? Kind of. So it feels judged to some extent, I would say. But Mercury, generally it is a neutral planet. It adapts well with the situation, it adapts well with the scenarios and the situations. So Mercury can learn that with the pressure, with the slow growth, with this constrained growth or bounded growth, yes, we can see life. That means it's a kind of training process. Yes, I'm able to learn this here. I learned this new thing here. That's what Mercury feels in Bharani. Mercury creates a kind of strategic thinking under pressure, because it is trained. The logical thinking is trained in these boundaries. So it's a kind of strategic thinking, I can say. But to develop that strategic thinking, Mercury has to go through that process of pressure. So Mercury can become a brilliant crisis analyst here. Mercury can become a good lawyer here. The energy, it's skilled in consequences, very ethical communicator the person can be when Mercury is in Bharani. So you can say Mercury is not completely comfortable, but can handle this Bharani's energy very well, and can show some good qualities, right? So it's not a kind of naturally very much happy. Mercury is not naturally very happy, but it is trained, and it will become a very good thing ultimately, right? It's not a pleasure oriented thing that's happening when Mercury is in Bharani. So it's a mixed thing when Mercury is in Bharani, I can say. And when Sun is in Bharani, Sun is your ego, your identity, your pride, you want to show, this is me, I am going to do this, I am this kind of self-expression. That ego is the sun, and that is Bharani, generally represents a kind of hiddenness, a kind of darkness, and also a kind of nutrition here. Lot of restrictive nutrition it is representing the Bharani's world. It's not an individuality. It's not an individuality here. So here, when Sun is in Bharani Nakshatra, the ego feels trapped because it's a bounded thinking. In the Bharani's world, it's bounded. There are restrictions, and there is of course nutrition, but everything is restricted. It's not allow you to express completely. There is a delay in self-expression guaranteed here. So a fear of shame you can see when Sun is in Bharani Nakshatra. But the positive side is, as Sun has that ego and that maleness, so Sun can feel very responsible here because there's a nutrition process going on. There is some kind of boundaries are present, and then the whole process is a kind of it's going to generate life. So the strong sense of duty feeling is observed here, and Sun has respect for law as a king. So that respect for law, that kind of feeling you can clearly see when Sun is in the Bharani Nakshatra. Sun feels very comfortable when it is allowed to express its ego completely, completely outside. Sun likes the environment where its ego is expressed. It's I am here, I am this kind of feeling is clearly expressed. If that is the environment, then Sun likes that environment. So Sun can be, of course, it's duty minded here, it's responsible here. So it can have that respect for law, that is the positive side. But the recognition is delayed here. There is no meaning of recognition in this cosmic Om world, in the Bharani's world, because it's all about nutrition, it's all about restrictions, and then a kind of discipline, and a kind of the growth is also very systematic. It should be very systematic. It is very, very systematic, that the whole process is ensuring the life will happen. It's going to create the wonders. The life will happen. Yes, we have restriction here, we have discipline here. Discipline is very much important in the Bharani's world, even though it's nutrition world, but it's not a kind of expansive nutrition. It's whatever is needed, how much nutrition is needed, only that much is strictly given. So here the ego is definitely suppressed. If Sun is present here, the ego is suppressed. So when ego is trapped or delay in the self-expression is present, then people feel a bit shameful, right? So that is the energy of Sun. So Sun is strong, of course, to some extent. It is duty minded. It is a kind of following the dharma kind of things can happen. So I would say totally Venus and Moon, those are the very, very comfortable planets in Bharani. And Mercury and Mars can do well. And Sun, Rahu, Ketu, they are a bit uncomfortable. And Jupiter is extremely uncomfortable in the Bharani Nakshatra. Jupiter doesn't like this Bharani's world at all. Jupiter's world is different. Oh, thanks for watching this video. We'll continue with this Nakshatra encyclopedia, and we'll see what Kritika is saying about this whole cosmic Om process, what Kritika is driving after it, how this whole universe, it's existing like this. We'll see that. Thanks for watching this video.